tentacles and duck under the orange ones. Ready, set, go!
I will follow you, God. I will live for you. I will keep pressing on until I have reached the prize. I will move toward the goal. I won't stop till I'm done. I will run this race till I cross the finish line. All I want is more of you, God. All I need is your love and grace. You've taken me to another level. You've given me brand new life. All I want is more of you, God. All I need is your love and grace. You've taken me to another level. You've given me brand new life. I will follow you, God. I will live for you. I will keep pressing on until I have reached the prize. I will move toward the goal. I won't stop till I'm done. I will run this race till I cross the finish line. All I want is more of you, God. All I need is your love and grace. You've taken me to another level. You've given me brand new life. All I want is more of you, God. All I need is your love and grace. You've taken me to another level. You've given me brand new life. I will follow you, God. I will live for you. I will keep pressing on until I have reached the prize. I will move toward the goal. I won't stop till I'm done. I will run this race till I cross the finish line. All I want is more of you, God. All I need is your love and grace. You've taken me to another level. You've given me brand new life. All I want is more of you, God. All I need is your love and grace. You've taken me to another level. You've given me brand new life. I prayed to the Lord and He answered. He freed me from all my fears. I will trust His word. Hey, we're not scared. We're set free from our fears. Hey, we're not scared. We're set free from our fears. Hey, we're not scared. We're set free from our fears. Hey, we're not scared. We're set free from our fears. We are fearless. Fearless. We are fearless. Clap our hands and praise your name, Jesus. We follow you for all our days, Jesus. Clap our hands and praise your name, Jesus. We follow you for all our days, Jesus. Left, right, we follow day and night. Hands up, hands down, let out a shout.
to raise your hand. Today's story is all about a great, faithful woman named Esther. And it's such a really cool story. And the book of Esther, it has the whole story laid out. And I highly encourage you to go and read the whole book because it's amazing. It is a page turner. But today I want to kind of overview or summarize what happened and what made Queen Esther so amazing. Today our ponder point is God is always at work. God is always at work, and we see that so true and so real in the story of Esther. Esther was living in a foreign land called Persia, and they with all her people, they were living there, and there was a king, King Xerxes. And King Xerxes had taken Esther from her people and had made her queen. Now, throughout this whole story, I want you to remember that God is always at work. God sees you, and he sees your story just like he sees Esther's story. Esther had been pulled away from her family, pulled away from her people, what she knew, and she'd been placed as the queen of this big empire. And there were certain things that Esther was going to have to do because the Bible says that God had placed her there, maybe for a moment just like this. See, there was this really evil guy. His name was Haman. And he was not good. In fact, he was so all about himself that he always was looking for ways to be more powerful or ways to get rid of people who he didn't like. And one person in particular that he didn't like was a man named Mordecai. In fact, Mordecai was Esther's uncle. And Mordecai had refused to bow down to Haman when he walked through the crowds, and that made Haman angry. But for Mordecai, the only person he worshipped was God. Now remember, God is always at work, even when things don't seem like they're working out for our best. And so Haman, from that moment on, all he wanted to do was kill Mordecai. But Haman didn't realize that the queen, she loved her people. So Haman devised this really big, elaborate plan. He was going to tell the king that these people, they don't worship him. They worship some foreign god, and they needed to be dealt with, and they needed to all just be killed.
What?
All be killed? And the king, he went along with it. And so Haman had this big plan, and Mordecai went to Queen Esther, and he told her, listen, Queen Esther, you have to go to the king. And the queen was scared because she knew if she went into the king's chamber, if she went to his throne and wasn't invited, the king, he could have her killed just for showing up uninvited. I mean, I've showed up uninvited a few times, and, well, I'm still here, and I'm happy about that. But can you imagine how scared Queen Esther must have been? But Mordecai encouraged her and said, maybe you were put here for such a time as this. In this moment when things seem so dark, when things seem so dim, remember what our ponder point today is. God is always at work. Well, it turns out that Queen Esther did go to the king, and the king was pleased to see her, and she requested his presence at a banquet. And she held a banquet. In fact, she held 2 banquets. And at the end of the second one, she tells the king what's going on. She says, King, I'm with the Jewish people. And Haman, he's devised this plan to kill all these people. Well, that includes me. And the king, he was very upset. And to end the story, because Queen Esther had taken such a step of faith, knowing that God is always at work, not only were her people saved, were the entire Jewish nation saved, but the king ordered Haman to be put to death. Now, remember what we said, God is always at work. And in our own lives, we can face impossible situations. I've faced some crazy situations in life, but knowing that God is always at work. When I was a teenager, I had a woman tell me, this Jesus thing is just a phase. You're just looking for something to do, and it's going to be a phase. And can I say, many years later, that for me, my faith in Jesus is not a phase, because I can see how God has always been at work in my life. So take a moment And remember that God is always at work in your life. He sees you. He sees your life. He knows when you face troubles. And if we turn to him and remember, say, God, I know you're always at work. Help me to see your plan. Help me to see what you're doing here. Then we can trust in him.